Hey, everybody, Kevin here with Pursuing Pixels, and welcome back to another edition of Save It for the Cast. And as per usual, I'm going to be kicking the ball over to John, Randall, and I in just a few minutes after I chat about some of the stuff that I've been playing lately. I know that I've mentioned in the past few weeks, whether it's, on a regular episode of the podcast or one of these Save It for the Cast intros, that I've been pretty swamped. Not that it's been overly, it's a normal kind of like 9 to 5 full-time situation for the most part. The hours fluctuate here and there, but just started up the new job a few weeks ago, I guess about a month ago at this point, but I've still been pretty mentally overloaded. I'm just about done with training and stuff here. It's pretty pretty intense in terms of like just all the information I got to take in, but I'm pretty much set to start flying solo, or, I'm sure I'll still have tons of questions and whatnot, but anyways, I'm hoping that I'll be able to lean into some more, games that require a little bit more mental capacity. Next week, John and I kind of have our regular episode is going to be a little bit more Save It for the Cast style. We kind of just talk about a bunch of the stuff that we've been playing, but then just veer into various conversations from there, which was actually a lot of fun. We might end up doing more stuff like that. We were talking about it a little bit in the Discord amongst ourselves, just like, I don't know, veering into some more conversational stuff as opposed to just saying we're going to talk about game A, A, B, and C, or X, Y, and Z, or whatever. But yeah, I end up talking a little bit about Shotgun King. That's really the main thing I've been playing now that it's out on Switch and just on consoles in general from the folks over at Punk Cake Delicio. But I'm going to not really talk about that much here because that's, I talk about it quite a bit next week. Although I will say on next week's episode, I kind of talk a little bit about how like some of the stuff that's been newly added since like the Game Jam version and maybe like the very first iteration of like the full commercial release, like I was kind of grading against it at first, but now that I've been playing more and more against it, I'm like, or more and more of it, I should say, I'm like, okay, I'm getting the hang of the different buffs and power-ups. So I was just kind of expecting to pick that game up right where I left off and remember everything. And I was like, oh man, I got a lot to learn here, not to mention like internalizing the gamepad controls on Switch as opposed to playing with mouse and keyboard, maybe just mouse entirely. I can't remember if there's any hotkeys on there. But anyways, not to just veer off into some Punk Cake Shotgun King conversation, which I'm bound to do at a moment's notice. But otherwise, yeah, I've kind of been doing the same thing I've been doing otherwise on previous weeks. I've just been kind of bouncing back around on the Nintendo Switch Online stuff, the retro stuff that's available, both on like the just regular Nintendo Switch Online, and then there's also the expansion pass, which gives you access to the Game Boy Advance, Sega Genesis, and Nintendo 64, I believe, are the 3 extras there on top of some other things like the Mario Kart DLC and stuff like that. But yeah, speaking of the N64 stuff, I guess first, which is actually the most recent thing I was just playing, was a little bit of Excite Bike 64. And I intended to just be like, oh, I bet you this is going to be like kind of like Wave Race style. I had actually never played the game back in the day. But I fired it up real quick and I played like a couple. I tried doing exhibition. It didn't work quite right. I was like, I think I like accidentally added like a bunch of human players. So I was like, let me just do a season. And then I was like, okay, I'm really like struggling to control this bike here. So I went back and actually did the tutorial. And it's actually a pretty nice tutorial. It kind of walks you through a few like steps one at a time. And then you like have to like complete a little thing in a certain amount of time, like a little mini track. And then at the end of the tutorial, it kind of puts it all together where you have to string everything you learned. And again, there's quite a bit. Like it's not just like drifting. And again, Mario Kart can get a little more intense if you get into the minutia of the controls and whatever, especially the more modern Mario Kart games. But yeah, with this one, and maybe Wave Race 64 is like this too. And I just was, never that good at the game, although I was able to complete most of the circuits to the best of my knowledge. Maybe not the, best times of all time or whatever, but, or, cracking the record boards or whatever on the game. But nonetheless, yeah, Excite Bike 64 just has a really cool control scheme, just the way you have to kind of like control like the angle of your bike going up the ramp and obviously the speed as well. And then trying to make sure you're landing on the downslope of the jumps, and then how you have to like kind of pull back on the joystick to do the sharp turns as opposed to leaning on the brakes. But then you can also lean on the brakes to do even sharper turns. You can also like kind of turn like while you're midair, you can kind of angle your bike so you can do like a sort of like quick land and like dig into the dirt and like kind of just quickly, sharply change direction. Just like a pretty kind of intuitive once you did the tutorial. And I wasn't able to pick it up just on my own, just playing the game. But I would just say like a pretty like, I don't know, pretty intuitive, but also pretty like, I don't know what word I'm looking for here, but the control scheme was just really, it was impressive how much I was able to, really expressive is maybe the word that I was looking for, but it was really impressive how much I was able to like just kind of like steer this bike. It just felt really like kind of natural for an N64 game. It felt more like a GameCube game, I guess. But other than that, I've been kind of diving into some of the import stuff that they added recently, and I think most of these have been added recently, but I actually played a few rounds of Kirby Star Stacker, and to the best of my knowledge, I think this was a Game Boy game originally, but apparently it was also released on Super Nintendo in Japan, and I really love it's kind of got that Kirby's Dream Land 3 kind of crayon aesthetic going on. I just love that soft, I don't know, just that soft kind of scribbly look or whatever, but yeah, I just played a couple quick runs of this, and it actually, I got to find the right like difficulty setting. I think I put it on the easiest setting, thinking, okay, these puzzle games get kind of tricky sometimes, or, you know, I haven't really played this game before, and it feels pretty similar to Puyo Puyo, but I was able to string together some pretty fun combos, some accidentally, but some on purpose, but it felt really cool to like do like, even reminded me a little bit of like, I think it was Yoshi's Cookie, or maybe it's just regular Yoshi, where you kind of like make sandwiches out of like, you basically are trying to get as many stars as you can, which kind of randomly populate on the board, and then you kind of sandwich them between the different like tiles you have, which are just different like kind of helper characters in the different Kirby games. And again, being that this was a Japanese release, they didn't localize any of the menus or anything, so you're just kind of like winging it. So it's one thing that I gotta like maybe look up online and like read what each mode is, because it looked like there were maybe some mini game modes, which I know Kirby games are famous for. Another game that I fired up real quick was Downtown Neketsu. What is this game called here? Downtown Neketsu March Super Awesome Field Day, which is looks like it's made by the River City Ransom team, or at least it's got those same character sprites. And again, another game that was released only in Japan. Kind of reminded me of like one of the game modes in American Gladiators on Super Nintendo that I had as a kid growing up, and you're just kind of like racing essentially, but also with those like River City Ransom mechanics where you can like pick up, you know, what garbage cans or whatever, is that you're just like running through the streets basically, but you can like scaling up the walls of buildings, like just climbing up them. It's kind of crazy. And you like set the time limit. Again, this is like all in Japanese. So like I was just like kind of hammering my way through the menus and like, okay, let's just get into some action. But it was actually pretty fun. Like it was like a little bit tedious because it's one of those games where it's like you got to kind of double tap forward or whatever direction you want, I guess, to like run. And every time you're getting to a new screen, it kind of loads and waits for all, you're kind of racing against three other characters and waits for all three to clear that phase of the race. And then it goes to the next one. There's just like a lot of stop and go, and you're just like constantly double tapping. A little bit frustrating, but definitely kind of a fun one to just have like on the Switch if you're like having some pals over and just want to fire up and like play a few, you know, multiplayer rounds of a game and just kind of, you know, some silly fun or whatever. And speaking of some silly fun as well and multiplayer fun, although this one's only 2 players, and I guess with the NES it might only be 2 players in general. I'm not sure how that works with the online stuff, but I was playing a little bit of this game called Joy Mech Fight, which I think I might have even mentioned briefly on a Save It for the Cast previously, because it was available on the Japanese NES, like the Famicom Switch Online stuff, which if you make like a Japanese account and whatever, you can download it from the eShop, but they finally added it to the American eShop. Again, not localized or anything. So this one, you're able to kind of, at least for me, I was able to kind of more intuitively see what the options are. It's like, okay, here's the story mode. Here's the one versus like player versus computer mode. Here's the player, you know, 2-player mode. And then here's like, I guess you can just watch the computer battle one another. And it's essentially like a, you know, Street Fighter style fighting game, but almost like more of like a, with like a Vector Man style aesthetic, but on NES. But like the characters are like these mech robots, and they're just kind of like these segmented individual bodies. The combat's kind of more like Super Smash Brothers style, like a little bit more simplistic than Street Fighter. You're not doing any like rolls on the D-pad to do combos. I think every character has 4 or 5 different moves or whatever, but you start out as this just kind of like jelly blob roll, and you just have to kind of beat the different bosses, and kind of Mega Man style, you can just pick whichever one you want to fight next, at least in the story mode. I was really kind of having fun with this game. The mechanics, like the fighting mechanics, just feel really, really fun. I was doing like some Zangief moves with some of the characters, like just grabbing them and smashing them or chucking across the screen. Just so much fun. And you actually have to win 3 battles, and after you like, there's like after you win one of the rounds or whatever, like your character will recharge just a little bit of their health. So it's not like a fully fresh round, and you have to just take down the other opponent 3 full times. And you do, like, again, you get a little bit of replenishment, whereas the other player who lost that round will get a full health bar, but use up one of like their hearts or whatever. And again, you have to take them down 3 times. I just really had a lot of fun with this game. I love like the aesthetic, the vibes, just everything about it. I really had a lot of fun just playing solo, and I think I took down like 3 or 4 of the bosses. And again, Mega Man style, is reading in the like little description they have on the Switch Online. It sounds like you can, like, depending on which, robot or whatever your mech you're facing off against, like each one's kind of weaker against other ones. And it just, I don't know, I was just kind of bouncing around, and maybe I just got lucky with the ones I picked because I didn't end up losing a single battle. But it was cool too. Like, it seemed like each enemy would get tougher with each wave. Like when you got down to their final like heart or health bar, they would like turn a little like darker, kind of like, reddish, or maybe they just darkened. I can't remember, but they kind of looked like angrier, and they would have maybe like a new move or two or something, or maybe they were just a little harder and moving faster. I couldn't tell exactly, but something definitely kind of shifted each round. And I just, it's such a cool fighting game. And for an NES game or a Famicom game in this case, like it just plays again, kind of similarly, like I was trying to say with the Excite Bike, the controls are pretty expressive and just pretty intuitive, a really fun fighting game. Another one that's going to be great to have, like when you have some pals over and just like, hey, let's pass a controller around and have a little like fighting game tournament here with this like kind of silly, goofy game that has, controls that you can pick up pretty quickly. So yeah, other than that, I did fire up, they added a bunch of new Genesis games, but I kind of bounced around on those and none of them really grabbed my attention. I was kind of excited after really enjoying Shinobi 3. They added Revenge of Shinobi, and I was like, oh yeah, I think that's Shinobi 2. And so I played a little bit of that, and I was like, oh man, what a jump. And no wonder the Shinobi games never grabbed me before, because not to say that it's terrible, but it's just so sluggish and so... even Shinobi 3 is a little bit sluggish, but compared to this, it's like no wonder when I played Shinobi 3, I was like, oh, this isn't quite what I remembered. I really am into this. And Shinobi, or Revenge of Shinobi, not so much. I wasn't quite feeling that one, but on that note, I guess on that slightly sour note there, I've really been having fun jumping into some retro stuff, but I'm also really looking forward to finally digging back into some games proper here soon. I'm hoping to start up some streaming again, and possibly even like set up a regular schedule. Like on one of the days we work a little bit later, we start at 10. So I'm like, maybe I'll stream on Monday nights because we start a little later on Tuesdays, and I can stay up a little later and do a nighttime stream. But I'll keep everybody posted on that front. But on that note, I will kick things over to John Randall and I for a little Pikmin multiplayer and all sorts of video game chit chat and all the other stuff as well. But yeah, I'll leave it there. And until next week, we'll catch you then, and take care.
Phone is charging.
No, don't. You don't have to look it up now, but I'll put it in there for those terrariums. God, these are so cool.
That's a good idea.
They're literally one of them is like literally like a bunch of Pikmin inside of like a light bulb. Is like the terrarium's like made out of what looks like a light bulb.
It's so that's the perfect like thing to do. Like just put a bottle cap in there or bottle of chapstick, like
yep.
Yeah.
God,
I think they're really small. Like I think they're one of those like those like little like gachapon type toys or whatever. I think they're like those kind of things. Like you buy buy one and you get a random,
that's adorable
figurine inside.
Fun.
But they look really cool. Yeah, gotta collect them all.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, I'm really pumped. And God, the glow Pikmin, the night stuff is really fun. It's like it's actually a perfect dose of like the other night I was like, I don't feel like playing a full day expedition, but I just want to like play Pikmin for a bit before bed. So I'm just going to rip through like a couple nights, get a couple globs and cures. And
dude, the co-op and challenge modes in 2, I forgot how good those are. Like they're just incredible. They're just basically like, I don't know if any of them are multiple floors of a cave, but they're basically like a cave level. And it's just like, you are given like you spawn with a set number of Pikmin and like a set number of treasures, and like you just try to beat it in as fast as possible with as few Pikmin deaths.
I like that.
So that's kind of how the Dandori battles work a little bit, because some of them are not battles. Like they're just like you get 5 minutes to clear everything out of here. They're not cavey. They're more like kind of toy box style vibe.
Yeah.
But similar situation. Like I don't know. Yeah, the Idle Thumbs guys actually used to talk about how Pikmin 2 multiplayer was like one of the best multiplayer games ever. Like there's some kind of battle mode, and they were just like, oh, it's the best mode of any game.
I was going to say the co-op was great because like the thing that was, I always felt like I was never using like, and I think that's kind of the reason why I like bounced off like 3 as much as I did was like 2, like I always felt like I wasn't maximizing the use of Olimar and Louis. Like I would always, by the time that I like switched back over to 1, like all the Pikmin had been done doing whatever like I had them do for like ages. Right, even like if it gives you that little like audio cue of the like yeah. Like I so co-op felt so good because it was just 2 players. Like I would play it with my groomsman Danny, and like it would be us like dividing and conquering a level and like trying to
Let you play full co-op in Pikmin 2?
And it's but it's in the challenge modes.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I didn't know you could play full co-op in that game. That was about to blow my mind.
That's sweet though.
Yeah,
that's still
so
awesome.
good.
Yeah, anything like that. I love
fucking Double Dash, man. That's also
Yeah.
Danny and I would play that co-op, and like I was always in the back with the items, and he was the one driving, trying to beat mirror mode. Like,
heck yeah. Yeah, co-op gaming, I mean, it's still around, but man, it's not the same. It's just not the same as it once was. Although I still am curious. Did you say you tried that co-op mode in Pikmin 4, Randall? With that,
no, not yet. No, I still need to.
Because even
I need to do that. I know.
Yeah, I was gonna say even Fiona, if she's into the game at all, or like the vibe, I feel like that could be fun. Because it sounds like it's like just kind of like they call it the pebble pitcher mode or whatever or something, and it sounds like you're maybe doing something similar to Mario Galaxy or whatever, and just kind of pitching, star bits at characters or whatever.
It's a little support assist sort of character role, which is cool.
Yeah, although it does make me wish, like, it's like, man, if you're gonna put a co-op mode, like that's cool to have like a secondary kind of chill, like passive mode. But it would be cool if it's like, hey, somebody can play as Ochi, somebody can play as the main character, and truly play co-op. I mean, obviously that would be awesome. But I'm not gonna complain about what I think. I mean, I don't have a complaint about this game yet, which is rare for a AAA game that I'm digging into this much.
The audio is so good in Pikmin. It's like,
amazing.
God.
The new renditions of the songs in like this kind of piano Breath of the Wild-ish style is so satisfying.
Yeah.
Every time I hear something familiar, I'm like, oh, it just hits the nostalgia in a deep way.
It does.
Not
in a good
in a
way.
cheap way. It really feels like I'm like, oh,
it's a connecting through line.
They're still making Pikmin games.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It just gets me so pumped.
I will always like get so excited every time I hear Green Greens in Kirby. Like it's just like, give me the same songs. Like they got it right the first time.
They're classics.
I don't need like. Yeah, that's a lie. I absolutely need the new ones because even the new tracks are also so great.
Yeah, like, I love some new stuff, but yeah, I do love especially when there's a fresh take on some of the classics. Because even I still remember too hearing like some of the like Mario tracks like fully orchestrated for the first time and like a full like a little more bombastic, and it was like. That was pretty memorable.
Oh yeah,
for sure. Or even that Mario Odyssey with like that one track with the vocals that you play in New Donk City. Like that's a super memorable part of that game.
Yep, all synced up together. It's super cool.
Yeah,
hell yeah, dude.
Oh man,
video games,
good music and good games, baby.
The more like esoteric like software is all cloud based, but that's still like if that just there's so many times where like my job just like grinds to a halt because I'm like, cool, I can't download an Excel file, and I'm like, this is such a stupid reason to not be able to do anything. It's like,
just at the mercy of technology, man.
Yeah, dude.
Cool.
Even with all these like power outages, it just really drives it home that we've had here. Like we had another one while we were out of town. Like my dad got a notification on the phone, like another power outage. To be fair, there was a tornado warning that time, so it was probably a pretty bad storm. But still, the power shouldn't go out every time there's a storm.
We shouldn't have
crazy
severe weather every fucking week too.
Right, for real. For real. It's a shit show out there, man. It's a shit
Fun.
show out
Love
there.
it. I love to be alive in the present. What a
It's
great.
stressful, man. Speaking of stress, too, my fucking car, man. Unreal. John gets this thing in the mail because I had to like get something mailed to his house because you couldn't get it mailed out of state.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, it must be this or this or this. And I was like, oh, that's what it is. My city sticker. They got to be wanting me to get my city sticker. And I was like, I don't need that. I don't live here anymore. And then John sends me this thing that's like, we can't verify your insurance so I have Michigan insurance. So when I moved back to get a Michigan driver's license, they're like, you got to have Michigan insurance. So I immediately did that first. And then I was like, okay, and then I'll get my plates changed over. And I went to go get my plates changed. Couldn't find my title. So I'm like, okay, it's somewhere in one of my boxes. I have no idea which one. I thought I knew which one it was in, but it's not where I thought it was. So I'm like, at this point, I'm not rifling through everything that I own in like one little room in my house. Like I can't find it. Yeah. So I talked to my friend's brother because like they're like, oh, they're gonna like suspend my license plate soon. So it's like, okay, I need to either figure out how to transfer this over or whatever. So I talked to my friend's brother. He's gonna help me look for like a car at auction, or I started like looking at some used car dealerships. I actually found this one place in Pontiac around the street that has some like pretty decent looking cars for under $5,000.
Nice.
So this car is on its last legs anyways.
Yeah.
I'm kind of at the point where like, if I have to put any money, even if it's like $100 to like get the title sent to me or something like that, which I think it is. I think it's like $150 fee to get it like mailed to you.
That's a bridge too far.
I'm like, that's too much. That's too much at this. And it's because right now it needs new brakes.
Yeah.
It's got like an oil leak. The air conditioning doesn't work. Like I'm basically just going to sell it for parts. Like my friend is just going to like take it apart. Or just scrap it or whatever and just give me half the money.
Okay, because I was going to say, can you sell a car that you don't have the title to?
You can't prove ownership of the thing you're trying to sell.
Yeah, I don't think so. I can prove that it's registered to me, but yeah, I can't technically prove that. I can't transfer the title to anyone.
Right, yeah, so.
Until I find it.
Otherwise, somebody will probably still give you $500 for it, I would imagine.
That's what I think, especially because like those, like the German cars have like kind of weird, like specific...
Mm-hmm.
Or even just the European cars in general. Like a lot of them have like just specific parts for specific. Every car does, obviously, but like it seems like some of those parts are a little more sought after. Like you just they only use this one for a couple years, and that's all it. They just change it all the time.
Yeah.
So whatever. And my buddy, he was like, man, I can get you a car for like a couple $1,000. He's like, the best part about auctions, he's like, they just usually have some cosmetic damage. He was like, so if you don't even care about that, you don't even need to do anything. You can just drive them off the lot. But I'm like, I'd rather get one from a a place that I can buy it from and go back if it doesn't work, and be like, hey, something's wrong. So we'll see. But yeah, I found a pretty cool like 2008 Audi that I'm going to look at tomorrow if I get a chance. I was like, all I care about is that it has an auxiliary jack in the car and that it doesn't have over 150,000 miles. That's all I care about. So... yeah, but
Priorities.
my car's duct taped together at this point. It's like, what am I clinging on to? It starts, but like when I cut the wheel all the way one way or the other,
yeah,
God. So every time I like have to pull sharp into a parking spot or parallel park, I'm like, oh, is my whole freaking axle gonna pop off? So it's time because the office they have me working in today is like a 50-minute drive. So it's like, man, that I'm not going to be working there much. They're just going to have me training there a little bit. So actually a lot of it, which sucks. But that's another reason I'm kind of like mad at myself too, because the other job would have just been strictly in one location, never anywhere else. It's maybe once a year to like cover for somebody or something. But
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of mad at myself, but yeah, I'll bring it up tomorrow in some regard. Whether I flat out like say I'd rather have the other position, or at least just say like, hey, I am struggling a little bit more than I thought I would with sitting down all day, and like I know I can get up and stretch a little, and it is tougher to do when I'm training, because I got to kind of like hover over the computer and watch all day. So when I'm on my own, I can probably stand up and kick my feet out a little, but.
Yeah, they might be willing to accommodate you in the current position if they can't do it. I could see that being the case, to be honest.
Yeah, I know the HR lady has back problems as well. Like she said she has like one of these like ball chairs at home too. So we were like talking about some stuff. So even I could maybe even say like, hey, if I found like a comfortable chair that I bought, like maybe you could just reimburse me for the chair or something, or even if I could just bring my own chair in or something, or whatever. But yeah, I feel like, that is like actually a law. You have to like accommodate people with disability to a reasonable extent.
Yeah, you've got plenty of medical paperwork to back up your claims.
I literally have a phone book worth. So
yeah.
It's like the thickest packet I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Flawless dismount. No notes.
Perfect. Perfection, baby. Oh, man.
Comes out next month, the old Pikmin 1 and 2 Switch physical.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. I'm glad it's not. That's reasonable, $25 per pop, especially. That's what I wanted to look up. I was trying to look up how much Pikmin 2 on GameCube goes for these days. I started typing that in, and then I couldn't remember what I was trying to look up about Pikmin.
So is that not upscaled at all?
It is 480p. Oh, you mean the new one?
Yeah.
I think it is upscale. Like I think it's like whatever they did to the Wii U. Didn't they release those digitally on Wii U too or something?
They may have.
Just the Wii. That might have just been the Wii version.
I think they did. I think they ported the Wii Let's Play things.
I forgot about
that.
Good God, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like Pikmin 2's become a little more reasonable. I mean, it's still like $100 or $80.
Yeah, that's still not reasonable.
But like, I feel like I thought I remembered it being like 200 plus. So I was expecting it to be like skyrocket.
No, that's still absurd.
Yeah.
But they have the two different covers too. I forgot about that. They have like the one with like the Pikmin that are just kind of like on the tree branch, and then they have the cover where where like it's Olimar like throwing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it looks like two different cover arts, unless it could be like a bootleg or something.
No, I thought it was I
always
Japan
loved that.
Or Europe, and
maybe it was just a different. Although this still has both of these have the ESRB rating on them though. Interesting. But I did love. I don't think Pikmin 1 did it. I think Pikmin 1 was just a CG rendering, but Pikmin 2, how it had that like
claymation
Nintendo Power claymation.
Yeah.
So fucking cool. They have these Pikmin toys in Japan, these little like mini like figurines. They're not quite they don't look quite as high quality as amiibos, but they still looked pretty cool.
Got two separate Pikmin tote bags. Got one from the old Nintendo rewards back in the day.
Yes, sir. I have that too, baby.
Nice.
And then the pre-order bonus with Best Buy was another one, which I didn't even realize when I pre-ordered it. I'm like, oh, that's neat. That's cool. So Fiona's got it filled with trinkets now, but it's cool to have multiple Pikmin bags.
For the new one, you mean?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's got OG.
Oh, you know what I think they are? I think they're these Pikmin terrariums.
Ooh.
That's cute.
Oh, these are sweet. Oh my God.